One of Britain's most famous car brands just recorded a month in which it sold 6 cars. Not 6,000, 6. Another has locked the gates on a factory that ran for 120 years, taking 1,100 jobs with it. And the brand, sitting at number 1 on this countdown, still employs 6,000 people in Britain, still fills forecourts from Cornwall to Aberdeen, and is, by its own accounts, in a fight for its life. 6 brands, all of them still on sale in Britain today. All of them being handed to buyers this very weekend, as if absolutely nothing is wrong. Because here's the thing about a dying car brand: the executives don't pay for it. You do. Through your resale value when you sell, your warranty when the network shrinks, and your parts bill in year 5 when the supply chain quietly gives up. So this is the countdown nobody at a dealership will ever show you. The 6 car brands collapsing in Britain right now, the verified numbers behind each one, and at the end, the 3 checks that tell you whether the badge you're about to buy will still be standing when you need it. Number 6 is the brand that had every advantage and still couldn't make Britain care. Number 6. DS Automobiles. DS Automobiles was born with a silver spoon. Carved out of Citroën to be its premium wing, the plan read beautifully in a boardroom. Take proven engineering, dress it in leather and ambition, add genuine French design flair, and offer Britain a slice of luxury without the German invoice. And let's be fair, the cars themselves are not the problem. They're distinctive, the interiors are genuinely interesting, and on a forecourt full of lookalikes, a DS at least has a personality. But invented premium brands all die on the same hill, and DS has been camped on it for a decade. Luxury isn't bought with a spec sheet, it's bought with status. And status collapses the moment someone leans toward your bonnet, studies the badge, and asks the 6 words DS has never found an answer to. Isn't that just a fancy Citroën? Once that question exists, the premium evaporates, because nobody pays extra for a badge they have to explain. And the numbers show exactly where that leaves them. Through the early months of 2026, DS has ranked among the worst performing car brands in the whole of Europe. Not the worst premium brands, the worst brands, full stop, sharing the basement with names like Mitsubishi and Alfa Romeo. In Britain, month after month, DS keeps underperforming a market that isn't exactly booming itself. And behind the curtain, parent company Stellantis has been trimming production on DS models because European demand simply is not showing up. None of this means a DS will strand you on the hard shoulder. It means something slower and more expensive. You'd be buying into a badge Britain never accepted, and the bill for that arrives on the day you try to sell it. Number 5. Honda Number 5 hurts, because this is not a badge nobody wanted. This is the badge Britain bought precisely so it would never have to think about cars again. Honda, the engines that outlived their owners' marriages, the reputation built not on advertising, but on 30 years of people simply getting to work. If your dad ever said the words, "just buy a Honda," you already understand what this brand was worth, which is why the current numbers should make you sit up. Across the first half of 2026, Honda has repeatedly appeared among Britain's worst-performing larger car brands, underperforming the overall market by double-digit margins in individual months, and then doing it again. Once is a bad month. Twice is a trend. A pattern across half a year is a verdict. And here's the uncomfortable part. The cars didn't get worse. Honda still engineers a properly solid machine. What changed is the ground underneath it. Honda's entire British identity was one word: sensible, dependable, fairly priced, boring in the best possible way. And in 2026, a wave of newly arrived brands is selling exactly that sentence. More equipment, longer warranties, lower prices. Honda's promise didn't break. It stopped being unique. And when your only card is the sensible choice, and someone plays a more sensible card for less money, you have no second card to reach for. For a company that spent 4 decades earning British trust, being beaten on its own home turf, value isn't a rough quarter, it's an identity crisis. And if you're buying one today assuming the badge will hold its value the way it did for your father, understand, the market has already started marking that assumption down. And if you want the early warning sign that this isn't new, remember Swindon. Honda closed its only British factory back in 2021, walking away from a plant that had built Civics for over 3 decades and taking roughly 3,000 jobs with it. At the time, it was framed as a global restructuring footnote. Look at it now, from 2026, and it reads differently. The first domino in a retreat from Britain that the sales charts are only now catching up with. Number 4. Fiat. At number 4, the figure I went back and checked twice before I believed it. Fiat, the brand that put generations of Britons into small, cheap, cheerful cars. The 500 outside every hairdresser's in the country, the panda that asked nothing and carried everything. Never fast, never posh, just honest, affordable, and everywhere. In the first quarter of 2026, Fiat sales in Britain fell by 60%, 6-0, in a single quarter, the steepest drop of any established brand in the entire UK market, and the rest of the half-year didn't rescue it. Fiat stayed pinned among the country's worst performers. Behind the scenes, Stellantis, yes, them again, the third time their name appears on this list, has been dialing back production on the Panda itself, because the demand across Europe has simply drained away. And there's a cruel logic to why Fiat, of all brands, fell hardest. Fiat's entire reason to exist was the price tag. That was the moat. But a moat made only of price is no moat at all. It protects you right up until the moment somebody arrives selling a better equipped car for less money. Somebody has arrived. They're doing it right now, in volume, and later in this video, I'll show you exactly who they are and how fast they're moving, because they're not just Fiat's problem. They're the reason half this list exists. Halftime scoreboard, because the pattern is already forming. Number 6, a premium badge Britain never believed. Number 5, a trust brand undercut on its own promise. Number 4, a value brand undercut on its only promise. 3 different strategies, one identical result. And notice that not one of these brands built a bad car. The cars were fine, the positions collapsed. Now the top 3, where it stops being about positioning and starts being about institutions. Number 3 is not what you think it is. So let me be precise. Vauxhall is still selling cars in Britain. The showroom numbers are holding up respectably. This entry isn't about a badge nobody buys. It's about something quieter and, honestly, worse. A British institution being dismantled while its sales charts still look fine. For 120 years, Vauxhall built vehicles in Luton, through 2 world wars, through the funeral of practically every other British volume car maker. Grandfathers clocked in, then fathers, then daughters. Same gates, same badge. If you grew up in this country any time in the last half-century, you've sat in a Vauxhall, a Cavalier, a Carlton, an Astra, a Corsa. It wasn't a car brand so much as part of the national furniture, and the Luton story is over. Stellantis confirmed the closure, ending production and putting around 1,100 jobs on the line. The local council called the economic damage to the town substantial. The Unite Union called the decision a disgrace and a slap in the face of the workforce. And the reason the company itself pointed to matters enormously for where this video is heading, they blamed the UK's zero-emission vehicle mandate, the rules forcing manufacturers to sell an ever-rising share of electric cars, whether or not British buyers are actually choosing them, saying openly that the mandate was hurting their business model because the demand simply wasn't there. Within days of that announcement, the group's chief executive was gone, so the badge survives, but the thing that made Vauxhall ours, the British factory, the British jobs, has been switched off, with a government policy standing in the middle of the wreckage. And the company that made that call had its own catastrophic year, a £20 billion loss, the largest in motor industry history, plus an engine scandal sitting in millions of British cars. I've taken that entire story apart in a separate investigation. The card is on screen now if you want it after this. Because number 2 is the collapse that needs no parent company to explain it. Number 2 did it all by itself. Number 2, Jaguar. And now the entry that belongs in business school textbooks, the most spectacular self-inflicted collapse the car industry has ever produced. Jaguar. Say the name to anyone who loves cars, and watch their eyes change. The E-Type. The car a certain Enzo Ferrari is said to have called the most beautiful ever made. The XJ breathing down a country lane. The leaping cat on the bonnet as a small, silver declaration of who you were. Jaguar was never transport. It was biography. Here is what remains. In January of last year, Jaguar registered 783 cars in the United Kingdom. This January, 6, a 99.2% collapse, on the books of the SMMT, the industry's own statisticians. Let that sit for a second. A British luxury marque, in its own home market, moved 6 cars in a month. There are cul-de-sacs in Surrey holding more Jaguars than that. And it isn't one freak month. Across Europe, Jaguar has posted single months of 49 registrations, down from nearly 2,000 the year before. Globally, a brand that shifted more than 180,000 cars in 2018 delivered under 27,000 in its latest full financial year, an 85% collapse in 6 years, in peacetime, with no recession to blame. So who did this? They did, in stages, on purpose. Stage 1, they discontinued the entire range, XE, XF, F-Type, E-Pace, I-Pace, before any replacement existed, leaving dealers to greet customers in showrooms with literally nothing to sell. Stage 2, the rebrand, the Leaping Cat retired, and a launch film built around the slogan, "Copy Nothing," that contained, famously, no cars at all. Elon Musk needed 4 words to sum up the world's reaction. Do you sell cars? Stage 3, the aftermath, the chief executive gone, the UK dealer network reportedly shrinking from around 80 sites toward 20, reliability surveys placing the brand 29th of 32, and the new electric saviors not arriving in real volume for another year yet. If you're weighing up a Jaguar today, new or used, go in with open eyes. Exposed resale values, a servicing network moving further from your house by the quarter, and a genuine question mark over parts and support across the next decade. I've made a full investigation into exactly what this means for the value of every Jaguar on a British driveway. That card is on screen now. Because Jaguar, at least, is a small brand dying loudly. Number 1 is a giant, dying quietly. Number 1, Nissan. Number 1, the badge from the start of this video, is Nissan. And if that name feels too big for this list, that's exactly why it's at the top. This is not a boutique badge fading in dignity. This is one of the largest car makers on earth, 90 years old, selling cars in Britain every single day, employing around 6,000 people at the biggest car factory this country has, Sunderland, which is precisely what makes the numbers underneath so alarming. Start with the money. Nissan booked a loss of £3.8 billion in a single financial year, not a profit dip, a multi-billion-pound hole. And the response tells you how the company itself reads the situation. 20,000 jobs cut worldwide, 7 factories marked for closure, a fifth of global production capacity erased. Companies having a rough patch don't amputate, companies fighting for survival do, and the fight has reached the northeast. Sunderland, Britain's largest car plant, Nissan's only factory on the entire European continent, builder of the Qashqai, the Juke, and the electric Leaf, has had one of its 2 production lines shut down, all 3 models squeezed onto a single line, as part of a restructuring taking around 900 European jobs with it. Annual output has slid to roughly 273,000 cars, from a peak north of 500,000. The plant isn't closed, it's half the plant it was. And understand what Sunderland means before you file that away as just another factory statistic. This is the plant that built the Leaf, the first mass-market electric car ever manufactured in Britain. The plant governments of every colour have pointed to for 40 years as proof that British car making still works. When that site goes from 2 lines to 1, it isn't trimming, it's the flagship of British volume manufacturing operating at half its former heartbeat, and everyone in the industry knows exactly what that signal means. Now the market share chart, because this is where the real story hides. In 2016, Nissan held 5.6% of the British market. Today, 3.7%. And the names that took it should stop you cold. Chery, the Chinese group behind Omoda, and Jaguar, now holds almost 5% of Britain. MG sits around 4%. BYD is right behind at 3.5%. A 90-year-old global giant with 6,000 British employees is being outsold in Britain by brands most people here couldn't have named 2 years ago. One of them didn't have a single UK showroom then. Why does this land on you, the buyer? Because when a company this size fights for its life, the shareholders are the last to feel it. Owners feel it first. Warranty goodwill tightens, dealer counts shrink, parts lead times stretch, and resale values fall faster than the finance company's spreadsheet ever assumed. Buying a Nissan today is not automatically a mistake. Buying one without knowing all of this, that's the mistake. 6 brands, 6 collapses. But if you think you just watched 6 separate stories, look again. It's one story with 6 victims, and the mechanism has 2 jaws. Jaw 1, regulation. The zero-emission vehicle mandate obliges every manufacturer to make electric cars a rising share of their British sales, year after year, on a schedule that climbs whether or not actual British buyers are climbing with it. And the schedule is steep. The required share ratchets up annually on a path toward the phase-out of new petrol and diesel sales altogether, with financial penalties hanging over every car sold short of the target. That's not my opinion of the policy, it's what the companies themselves are saying with their factories. When Stellantis closed Luton, they named the mandate, publicly, as a force hurting their business model, because the consumer demand underneath the targets wasn't there. Push companies to sell what people aren't yet buying, and something somewhere, gives. In Bedfordshire, what gave was 1,100 jobs. Jaguar 2, competition. And this is the shift most of Britain hasn't fully registered yet. 2 years ago, BYD had barely arrived here, and Chery didn't exist in this country at all. Not one showroom. Today, their combined British registrations are ahead of Volkswagen, the single best-selling brand in the UK. Read that twice. And the crucial detail is that they are not expanding the market, they're consuming it. Their growth is bigger than the entire market's growth, which means arithmetic allows only one conclusion. Every extra car they sell is a car somebody else didn't. Somebody like Fiat, like Honda, like Nissan. Squeezed from above by targets, eaten from below by cheaper, better-equipped newcomers. And the first to break in that vice are exactly the brands you've just watched. The invented premium badge nobody believed, the value brands with nothing but price to hide behind, and the icon that set fire to its own identity. The vise isn't loosening, which means the only person who can protect your money in this market is you. So you're standing on a forecourt, pen hovering, 3 checks, worth more than any spec sheet, and they take 10 minutes combined. Check 1. Investigate the brand before the car. A brilliant car from a collapsing brand is still a bad purchase, because in 5 years, you'll be the one hunting discontinued parts and eating the resale loss. The SMMT publishes registration figures for every brand, every month, free. Look up whether the badge is growing or shrinking in Britain before you look at the wheels. Check 2. Count the dealers. This is the early warning light almost nobody reads. When a brand's UK dealer network starts contracting, the way Jaguar's has slid from around 80 sites toward 20, servicing moves further away, warranty work gets slower, and the ownership experience decays long before the headlines arrive. Ask how many franchise dealers sit within an hour of your home, then ask how many there were 3 years ago. The direction of that number tells you the truth. Check 3. Stress test the resale, especially on finance. PCP deals are built on a guessed future value, and the guess assumes a healthy brand. When a brand is shrinking, real-world values can fall through that guess, and that's precisely how people end up owing thousands more than the car is worth. If the badge is on this list, assume the pessimistic number, not the brochure number, and size your deal accordingly. 6 brands, 6 warnings. Every one of them sitting on British forecourts this weekend, being handed over as if nothing you've just heard is happening. A car is several £1,000s of your money parked outside your house. Make sure the company behind it will still exist when you want that money back. Now it's your turn, because this comment section sees what no boardroom does. Which of these 6 surprised you most? Do you own one? And have you already felt it? The falling part exchange offer, the dealer that closed, the service booked 3 towns away. Name the brand and tell the story, because your experience is the warning that saves the next person watching. If someone you know is about to sign for one of these badges, send them this video first. And if you want the full post-mortems, how Jaguar talked itself down to 6 cars, and the £20 billion catastrophe behind the Vauxhall badge, both investigations are on screen right now.